Hello and good morning. It's good to see you. It's good to be alive. Yesterday was a very long and rough day. I'm sorry I didn't get a video out. I had to go over to Portland to get the packing out of my nose and the staples out of my leg, and it was a 6-hour drive over and a 6-hour drive back. And yesterday's appointment was a really rough one. I'll tell you more about it here in just a few minutes. But I just wanted to first apologize that I wasn't able to get a video out yesterday because it was too much for me. So let me start with in the morning. I woke up, I got a good night's sleep. I was pretty anxious for my appointment, so I woke up every couple hours even though I was getting good sleep. Had plenty of dreams throughout the night. I think I had like 4 dreams, which to me is still just remarkable because prior to having this tumor out, my sleep apnea, I would have on an average like 70-something apneas an hour. So I was having better than 1 apnea a minute. And 70% of those apneas were my brain not telling my body to breathe. Only 30% were obstructed airway. So whatever was going on with the tumor was impacting my brain's signal to make my body breathe. And it was happening better than once a minute. It wasn't long enough for my blood oxygen level to drop down into a dangerous level, but it's never good for the brain to not breathe because it has to stimulate you to get you back awake enough to start breathing again. Well, in doing so, especially better than once a minute, it prevents you from getting into REM sleep. And there's a chemical, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but there's a chemical that starts with a C that the brain builds up throughout the day under stress, anxiety, negative impacts cause you to create this toxic chemical in your body, and it's processed out during your REM sleep period. So if you're not getting into proper REM sleep, then you're having a toxic level of this chemical that your body produces, and then that can be very damaging to you, and it can have all kinds of different health effects. But in any case, what I've noticed is my sleep apnea has dramatically resolved itself because I am getting into REM sleep. I'm getting into regular REM sleep. I've never had multiple dreams in the same night so frequent. I mean, I've had a reoccurring nightmare where you go back to sleep after you wake up and it continues. Those are kind of crazy. But that's the closest I've ever experienced to what I'm experiencing now. And it's fantastic. Nothing really significant, just it's going to take some getting used to, and I'm going to keep a close personal observation on it. I've really only had one nightmare in a little over a week and a half, but I've dreamt every single night, even if I'm only asleep for like 45 minutes at a time. The one nightmare I had, I was only asleep for maybe 45 minutes, but even then, I was able to get into REM sleep clearly. Otherwise that wouldn't have happened. And my retention of dreaming afterwards, the details fade away a lot slower. That's another thing I've noticed. Okay, now to talk about the serious part. So yesterday's appointment. Well, let me back it up first. My buddy, my best friend, for the longest time since I lost my best friend. I have 2 best friends in my life right now. I'm very blessed. At the same time, in a world of so many people, it's kind of crazy that I have so few close friends. But one of my longest time friends, he was on his way to come see me before my appointment in the morning, and he got in a car accident. He's gonna be okay. But yeah, he's pretty banged up. So you all want to pray for somebody random? Mike could really use it. Give me a minute for composure here. Where are my tissues? Oh, there they are. Came downstairs, got myself a cup of coffee, and decided, well, it's a good time to make the video. It's just it's got a lot of very deep personal moments in it. Yesterday, like I said, was an exhausting day. The 6-hour drive home after my appointment would have been enough, but to wake up and find out Mike was in an accident. Well, I woke up and he didn't make it down there before my appointment, so I didn't know what had happened. And so I go to my appointment, and like I said, they took the gauze out, they took the staples out of my leg. So when they took the gauze out, it hurt really, really bad. It burned so bad, all the way up in my face and everything. Made me very weak. I got faint. I had what was known as a vascular episode. It was a severe vascular episode. And a vascular episode, it says here by definition, occurs when you faint because your body overreacts to triggers such as the sight of blood or heat exposure, standing for too long. Symptoms include paleness, nausea, sweating, rapid heart rate, and fainting. Now, in my case, the heart rate dropped out to 38. The doctor was holding my wrist, monitoring my my heart rate. I remember telling him that I was fading out and that I was pretty sure I was going to pass out. This has happened to me once before, at least once before, medically documented. I was, back in 2018, I was going in for an MRI for this brain thing. And when they were setting me up with the IV, it hurt really bad. And I started getting faint and flush, and I passed out. And then I went into a full-blown seizure as soon as I passed out. So I'm in a shaken seizure, blood shooting out of my arm at the phlebotomist. Freaked him out. He had never seen anything like that before. I spent the next 4 hours in the ER. And he would walk by every once in a while, just like ghost white, scared look on his face, hoping I was okay. It was a terrifying event for him. It was a terrifying event for me. I woke up in a sudden, I jump scared him when I suddenly took a breath and came to. I was totally out of it, but I was like, what happened? What happened? He's like, you're okay, you're okay. You had a fainting spell and a seizure. And yeah, it was terrifying. But so when I was in the appointment yesterday morning, when he pulled the gauze out of my nose, it was so traumatic and so painful that I went into one of these episodes. Now, because I've had 2 of these episodes, I'm going to have to go see a heart and lung specialist so that we can find out what's going on. Because over the last couple years, I've had a couple of acute random spikes in blood pressure where it was like 190s over 110s. It was, I went in and I was like, oh, I should have my blood pressure checked today. And I can't remember what the other thing was that I went in there for. And when she checked my blood pressure, she was like, we need to get you over to the ER. So, yep. Now we got the brain thing resolved. We gotta go see a heart and lung specialist, find out what's going on there. You probably don't know this about me, but back in 2017, I was a wildland firefighter, and I got an extreme exposure of poison oak. We were on a ridge line on a road, and our job was to water support the back burn down the backside of the hill. And what wasn't assessed was updraft winds and the fact that that entire hillside was poison oak. So when they lit it off, it came up as a big black smoke because poison oak has a tremendous amount of oils in it. So all those oils are vaporized and carried in a black smoke that me and my partner then inhaled tremendous amounts of it. He broke out on his skin. Me, I'm highly susceptible to it. So it inflamed my lungs to the point where the next morning I had to go to the ER because my respiratory system was shutting down. So I actually have quite a few things that I got to get on when it comes to heart and lung specialists. Those will be another series of videos down the road. I'll keep you posted. Back to yesterday morning. So I have this episode. For about 30 seconds to a minute, the doctor's holding my wrist, checking my pulse, trying to keep me calm, watching over me. He has a look in his eyes of, am I going to have to get the paddles? Because this man's heart rate is dropping out. And then after about a minute, he says, okay, it's coming back. He's going to be okay. He said it came up to 58, and then it came into the 60s. And so he said, yeah, these happen about once a quarter. So an OHSU neurologist only sees these kind of episodes about once every four times a year. So I was his first quarterly, and I survived it. He did great. I had full confidence in him. I was comfortable in the situation, even though it was very traumatic, very traumatic. It was exhausting. So then once my body came back, just completely drenched in a sweat, and he's like, we're going to have you sit here for about 10 or 15 minutes just to make sure that you're okay. We don't want to rush anything, and then we'll continue, and we'll look up your nose and see how everything looks. And so I'm sitting there, and for a few minutes, and all of a sudden, because all that sweat and the overhead air starts to come on, right? So I'm sitting there in this chair, just covered in cold sweat, and I start shivering because of the air blowing on me. And I see the receptionist lady walk by. I'm like, excuse me, is there a way I could get a blanket? Because I am just so cold right now, and I'm shivering. So I'm full body convulsions. So what does she do? She hits the emergency button on the wall. So all the alarms in the whole office go off, right? My mom's out in the waiting room. She hears it. She's like, I wonder what that is. So all the doctors rush in like, oh no, what happened? Right? And I'm like, I just need a blanket. Please, I just need a blanket. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm just cold. Look at my back. My whole back was just coated in sweat. My whole shirt was just wet. So they got me some more water. They got me a rag for my forehead. And I did fine. I sat there for 10 or 15 minutes. I stopped shivering once they got a blanket on me. And got just that light breeze was all it took. You know, you ever been walking out, exercising or whatnot, and then you stop and that sweat gets cold suddenly? Yeah, in the doctor's office. It scared the crap out of him. But I was okay. I'm okay. So after all that, he looks up my nose and he goes, it looks great. Tissue's healing well. The graft took fine. There's no signs of anything wrong there. They upped my ability to lift up to 20 pounds. I'm still going to keep it between 15 and 20. I don't want to push any maximum there. I got to go home. I was sad at that time. I didn't know what had happened to Mike. I hadn't heard from him. Last thing I heard from him was out of class at 7 o'clock in the morning, and he was going to go home, take a shower real quick, and he was going to come down and see me and hang out with me before my appointment. And so I went home. And, you know, after the vasovagal episode, I have it up here on my computer so that I can remember what it's called, and that way I can tell you about it more and not be like that thing with the V that my heart did. Anyways, so it was an exhausting trip home. Went over Hood. Hood was pretty good. Crazy how God can bless people in the littlest ways, but the most meaningful ways. Every single trip to Portland and back, God divided the weather like the Red Sea. We had storms to the north. We had storms to the south. We had intermediate clouds and blue sky most of the time on all of these trips. When I got over for my surgery, as soon as I got into surgery, 10 inches of snow. Second most snow in Portland since 1943. When I went home, it was the day between the next two storms that came in. We got to go over Hood. It was beautiful. I got awesome pictures. Even yesterday, it was like we went through during the light period of snow. The roads were the best condition they could possibly be in. As soon as we got to Warm Springs and out of the forest, boom, snow gone. Didn't see any more snow until we went over the Ocho, and the roads were clear, bare pavement. An absolute blessing. Got home a little after dark, so I missed the Sabbath lighting of the candles and our opening of Sabbath prayer. I'm okay with that. I understand. I'm sure God does too. I look forward to being a part of it this next weekend. So I got home, I got settled in, realized I didn't have the sinus bottle because I get to do this up my nose 3 times a day for I have no idea how long. My doctor told me to get this stuff here. It's all backwards to you, but it's an all natural sinus relief nasal rinse. I get to do 3 times a day. Warm up some distilled water, put it in this bottle with one of those packets, and then squirt half of it up one side as it pours down the other. Squirt the half up the other side as it pours down the other. And that's going to keep my nose supple and clean, because I can't blow my nose for like 6 weeks. Otherwise, I could risk popping that piece of tissue. And my leg hurts too much to want to have them do an emergency surgery and take another piece of tissue and shove it up my nose. I'm so past that. So past that. I pray that none of y'all have to deal with that, and that I never have to deal with that again, because wow. It is such a relief to know that I'm now in the hurry up and heal. I got my results back yesterday. I sent a note to my doctor. I was like, with the whole heart incident and everything and fainting, I forgot to even ask you, did the results come back? And they're like, yes. Results came back. It's typical meningioma, WHO grade 1, which means it's benign. It's not cancerous. So I'm past the cancer risk. They got everything out of my face. I had post-surgery, said everything's healing well. Very well, they said. He, even in the report yesterday, even with the episode of my heart, he said, overall, Antonio is healing very well. That the graft inside of there, healing very well. So yeah. Now, on to some random things that I've noticed. I have no definitive sense of taste. I have salty, sweet, bitter, and spicy. I don't taste distinct tastes anymore. They say that 75% of your sense of taste is, or 70% of your sense of taste is actually your sense of smell, because it's a paired sense to decipher distinguished tastes and smells, right? So because they destroyed the olfactory nerve to do this particular procedure, the sacrifice was I lose my sense of smell for a less invasive way of going in and taking care of the tumor. I'm able to make these videos right now instead of still dealing with my eyes unswelling and being in the hospital, because it's 2 weeks stay in the hospital when they do this keyhole surgery where they split your eyebrow, they open this up, they cut a piece of bone out, right, cut of your skull out here, and then they go in and down in and take the tumor out that way. This way, they use the natural canal of the nose to get most of the way there, and then they puncture a hole through the bone and go through where the olfactory nerve is. So it's a trade-off. Less invasive treatment, faster recovery, safer treatment, but you lose your sense of smell. So we're going to be doing some videos, blind taste test videos and stuff. Still drinking coffee, but when I take a drink of it, I don't taste coffee anymore. The water is thicker. I don't know if you're a coffee drinker or not, but there's this distinct difference between water, tea, and coffee, texturally speaking. They're each a little thicker than the other, right? And coffee has a bitterness to it, right? Well, I can sense the bitterness, and I can sense that it's thicker than tea. But as for a distinguished coffee, nope. When I smoke weed, nope, can't taste it. I taste nothing. I'm smoking it, I feel it, but I don't taste it. I may never taste the way I used to taste individual tastes again. Another example, I had a cherry yogurt yesterday, right? Had fruit on the bottom, yogurt on the top, mix it up. Sweet, creamy texture. Could not, if I blind taste tested that, which we're gonna do. We're gonna do some yogurt taste testing, we're gonna do some juice taste testing, and other things. Like I'll get like 3 different types of Gatorade, right? So they're all the same consistency. Texturally speaking, though, all same consistency, but they're different flavors. And we're gonna blind taste test and see whether or not I can taste those kinds of things. So there's gonna be a whole series of videos. We can always hope that my taste comes back, but we're gonna have some fun with it in the meantime, make some interesting content, because I find it rather fascinating. For me, right now, if I want something salty, it's not gonna matter what it is. I'm not gonna taste what it is. I just have a craving for something salty. There won't be a, craving for salty peanuts, because it won't matter to me, because I won't be able to taste peanuts. But if I want something salty, which in my case would probably go to potato chips, because I can sense the saltiness of the potato chips. I like the texture, the little crispiness of the potato chips. So yeah. Anyways, so I got home. I didn't have one of these nasal rinses. And so I got a hold of my dad. I said, Dad, hey, my mom and dad live right around the corner, which is such a blessing in all this. But anyways, messaged Dad. I said, hey, do you have one of these nasal bottles? And he's like, yep, come on over. So as I'm getting ready to walk out the door, I get a text message from Mike. And he tells me that he was in a car accident, that his truck was totaled. And wow, talk about just one last kick in the nuts for a day. I mean, like I said, the 6-hour drive was enough as it is. And I actually did better with it than any of the other drives. Without the sinus packing, going over the passes, the pressure wasn't nearly as bad. There was still a couple of times where I just had to lay back and chill because, I mean, 6-hour drive in the car, even if you're a passenger, that'll wear you out to begin with, not to mention the day that I had, you know. But I did well, and I got home safely, and Mom did a wonderful job. I'm so blessed that she was there through all this because, for one, I don't have people in this world to rely on. I really don't. I'm the sole logistic provider of my family within my own home. My wife and kids are disabled. They aren't able to provide for themselves and take care of their daily needs. I have to do that. So this has been a real struggle, me being down, because I'm the one I rely on, and I'm the one that they rely on. And Mom's got a lot on her plate right now with my grandma's health and stuff, and my mom's health. She really needs to focus down and get some things squared away there. It's not my place to say anything beyond that, so I'm not going to. But she's been through a lot with all this, and I just thank her so much. Anyways, I hope Mike's doing well this morning. I'm not going to bother him. I'll message him this afternoon and see how he's doing. I just want him to get an opportunity to rest. I pray him and his family are all right, and that they're going to be all right. So it sounds like it's just going to be, you know, is what it is, and hurry up and heal. I don't think either one of us is going to be doing morels this spring, but come June, I know I'm going to be back on track. Now I'm just hurry up and wait. Doctor said I can drive again because I'm not taking opioids. Shocked the daylights out of him that I'm not on opioids, right? And he said, I asked him when I could drive again, and he said, you can drive whenever you're off the opioids. I said, I haven't had any opioids since the day I left the hospital. I said, I didn't even go home with any. I'm taking 650 milligrams of Tylenol. And he's like, well, then you can drive now. So, yay. I won't have to rely on people to do that for me now, which is great. I just can't pick up over 20 pounds. So in my book, I'm not picking up over 15 pounds. I will make umpteen trips in and out from the parking lot to the house. I don't care. If I have to get a gallon of water each trip, I'll be exhausted, but I'll get her done. Tired, guys. Anyways, is there anything else that I want to share with you this morning? No, I think that about covers it. I may make another video later today. I don't know. Like I said, I want to make some taste testing videos. I think that's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting to explore that and share with you guys weird experiences. Oh, yeah. And these teeth right here. On the front one, this one, and this one. Those 4, still numb. I mentioned it in the hospital. I'm sure it's mentioned in one of the videos, but I think it was the day after surgery, maybe? Boy, that's weird. You know that sensation when you've had dental work done and the numbing's worn off, but you still got kind of that feeling in your mouth, kind of numb, kind of pressure, kind of hurts. You know, it's an odd dental feeling. Well, today it is a little less than it has been, which is a blessing because I really want this to go away. But those 4 teeth have been numb like that waking up, half asleep dental procedure, like as if they did something up here, and you know, it's almost all the way back to normal, but just enough not to be very annoying. Rub the back of my teeth, do things like that. I don't want to do that. I rub my gums and across the teeth like that, and it stimulates sensation. I'm doing that to stimulate sensation to try to get the nerves to respond to it, and maybe that'll help bring it back. But this right here, I hope goes away more than my sense of taste comes back. Yeah, it's that obnoxious. Oh, another thing, I have no sense of smell anymore, right? So scientifically speaking, they say that one or more of your other senses will enhance to make up for that loss. Well, your sense of smell is a primary defensive warning sense, right? Warns you against toxic things, warns you against dangers like smoke, fire, those kinds of things, right? It's going to be really weird to be dependent on technology to tell me about the hidden dangers that I can't smell anymore. But why don't you leave in the comments below what sense, if any, do you think is going to enhance over the next few months as I recover? And will I notice it? Anyways, it's been great talking to you. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Good Sabbath. And I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.